and welcome to the show with me, Gillian Gosler. Today I have Alexander Fazel, who is the head of communications of Swissborg. You're very welcome indeed. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me, Gillian. You are a role model here in the UK. Sorry?
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening.
That's true. That's true. Which time zone are we in?
I'm so used to the different times. I say good morning automatically, so don't worry. Anyway, I interrupted you. You were going to say that I was a role model in the UK. That's much
Yeah,
nice.
you really are. I mean, you're a great speaker. Obviously, you do awesome keynotes. You're an author. You're a blogger. You do so many things to really encourage people. And I love your message of really pushing that gender ratio, which a lot of people think about but don't have the courage to actually express. So thank you so much for your support in growing the community.
Thank you so much. You know, it's funny. I start a lot of my talks by saying, for the first time in my career, my age and my gender is a positive. Because women in their 50s tend to become invisible. They've either, if they're a homestayer, home, you know, they've raised a family, and when the birds leave the nest, they have that empty nest syndrome. What do I do next? Or even if they're in an office and they're working, women in their 50s tend to be largely ignored. It's mad. It's crazy. So I'm like going, I'm here. Hello. And I love it. And then I want to say to people, not only obviously to get young girls involved in blockchain, but I'm really keen to get old birds involved in blockchain too as well, because no more than we need older men as well, we need older women, you know, who have experience, life experience. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And your company is pretty impressive because Swissborg emphasizes this diversity. And you have about a third, which is hopefully going towards half. You have a third of your employees are women, am I right?
Yeah, at one point we were close to 44%, actually. It was like 43.8%. I think currently we're close to 40% of women. So the gender balance is, for fintech and crypto, is really good. I guess for most companies, maybe outside of the financial or tech world, there are way better ratios than that. But yeah, it's not too bad.
It's good because sometimes I get into arguments here about gender quotas when it comes to politics, because in Ireland we brought in a rule, each political party, in order to get its funding, has to put forward a certain number of female candidates. And sometimes that causes holy war, you know, it really does. But unless you do something like that, the ratio, because I think we only have like, I don't know, we're 17% of women in the Dáil, to get it to 50-50 will take 400 years of organic growth. Sometimes you've got to be a bit pushing the button. And then, you know, then it'll calm itself out. Because once it's even, then the best people will always rise to the top afterwards. So anyway, I'm delighted about that. So tell me, Swissborg, right? It's a very well-known name, but I know Swissborg. I've met you several times, whatever. But it wasn't until I went back and I went, oh, I didn't realize you did the big, exactly your chest. You did the big ICO, 50 million back in 2018. That's huge. Yeah. So you were one of the biggest ICOs of the time.
Yeah, actually, in Switzerland, there was Bancor that raised more money than us in Switzerland. But I guess we're actually a Swiss company, as in we're actually based in Lausanne. Most of our engineers are Swiss. And so not just ICO from Switzerland, but I would say we actually, work locally and hire locally and also train and try to grow locally on top of course, coming to London and other countries.
Yeah, that's cool. So with you're based on Ethereum. Now, a lot of companies started off in Ethereum and then they moved away. How come you stayed with Ethereum?
We still have hope. We still have hope, Julian. Looking forward to Ethereum 2.0 and the move to proof of stake. A lot of people are worried about this and not too sure how it's going to work and if it's going to scale, etc. But for the time being, you know, like Ethereum still has the most engineers involved. They have great activity on GitHub. And, you know, it's a community that really supports each other. So obviously, if things do not work out, unfortunately, next year, I really hope that ETH 2.0 does work. But we didn't really feel like there's a great incentive for moving away.
Okay, that's interesting. So Swissborg itself, right? It's the whole ethos is to re-engineer financial access to finance to people. So it becomes from a members-only club to a democratized environment. Tell me a little bit about the thinking behind that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So my brother always says, you know, we're here to connect the off-chain and the on-chain worlds. And that's a message that we've been pushing for a long time. And basically my brother back in the days when he was working for a hedge fund, and his actual co-founder, his partner, was also working in banking and finance and investment banking. And both of them realized, especially my brother at the time, I remember very clearly, he would call me and he would say, like, I'm helping people who are already extremely wealthy. And if, for those who don't know, in Switzerland, you need a minimum of 1 million Swiss francs, but the average is more closer to 4 or 5 million Swiss francs. You can, a percentage of that can be in collaterals, but still, that entry barrier is really high. So, and he didn't really like that. He's like, he had people who had a little bit less wealth. They didn't qualify for the minimum capital required, but they were very smart and they had really good ideas and they just wanted people to help them, optimize their portfolios. And it really frustrated him. I could see that at one point he was making decent money, but the money wasn't sufficient. He was really frustrated. And then smart contracts arrived and he completely just wanted to change his direction.
Wow. Because I'm looking through some of the films and some of the documentation. It's, to change the world is a term that's used a lot in your company. So it's not just lip service. This is something that is, I think, quite deep in your ethos.
Yeah, and exactly. And for us, really, like the idea initially was not to completely do things the on-chain way. Like there's some sort of off-chain, on-chain balance, which makes the perfect balance. Because, as you know, Jillian, for example, DeFi is a very cool concept, but decentralization, the tech itself is not scalable. And there are many limitations to those type of projects, even though the mindset is the best. We hope that one day we could also be completely decentralized. But as of today, if you want to give scalability, if you want to give speed, a great user experience, and everything around that for the average person, we cannot only concentrate on decentralized or on-chain technology. It has to be a balance and the best of both worlds. That's really what we feel is still true as of today and will still be true as of next year.
Because one of the things is, because a company in your space, you're looking for at mass adoption. That's one of the things, obviously, the things you're pushing for. And you nail it on simplicity. And so perhaps, do you want to explain one of the predictor app that you have on Swissborg? Yeah, tell us a bit about that. So this is about, it's getting people involved. It was a very simple little app that's kind of, it's quite addictive.
That's so sweet of you to actually mention that. But yeah, for those who want to predict the price of Bitcoin, it's a simple game where you just need to predict up or down. That's it. That's all you have to do. But the cool thing is, you don't have to spend any money and you can still earn Bitcoin. Actually, our prize pool, we put aside $500,000. So that's a lot of money just for the prize pool. But people always ask us like, but why are you guys doing this? And the main motivation behind this was to educate people, increase their financial literacy. And how we do that is we just offer a lot of metrics for free. So we'll give you the community sentiment, we'll give you technical analysis, we'll give you algorithms, machine learning to help you understand the probabilities on whether Bitcoin will go up and down. So it creates these habits where you feel obliged to want to do well, and to do well, you look at all the data and analysis that we've done. So we're hoping that we can build the right habits and make people, better understand the market before they want to put in their real money or take that risk.
I think earning, because people often ask me, they say, oh, you work in blockchain and Bitcoin, should I buy some, whatever, invest in some? I'm kind of going, do you normally invest in stocks and shares? Sure, invest that what you can afford to lose. I'm not a trader. But on the flip side, it's very important. Once you own cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin, you're in the game. You've got skin in the game, and if you can earn them, that's a nice way of getting people in. Just so they're not having to spend their hard-earned money, but they can actually see it. And then, I know I do look at my wallet quite a lot, just to see what it's worth now. It's not a huge amount of money, but I'm going, or the last year, a bit like crossface. But recently I'm going, oh, that's not too bad. Oh, that's not too bad. I quite like that. So that's cool. So the other thing you're putting together in Swissborg is the Wealth app. Tell me a little about that. It's in beta at the moment, I think, and it's going to be launched next year. Am I right?
Yeah, it's coming. We're going to be announcing the launch date probably at the end of this month. We're already in alpha version 1, but we're moving to alpha testing V2. And basically, the Wealth app is pretty much like the Skyscanner for crypto investments.
Okay.
So, Jillian, if I may ask you, what website do you like to use when you go traveling? You travel a lot, so do you have any preferred websites?
eDreams. I use that a lot at the moment because there seems to be a lot of flights on that. Well, it comes up top of the Google ranking, and yeah, whatever is the cheapest.
Exactly, the cheapest. So eDreams, probably you've used Skyscanner maybe in the
Yes,
past, or
yeah,
Booking.com,
yeah, booking, yeah,
Expedia.
yeah.
So we believe that, let's say, for instance, if Coinbase, for example, they're the Delta Airlines or American Airlines, the airlines are all the exchanges. And so we're kind of like the Skyscanner, as in we connect to multiple exchanges and we find you, as you just mentioned right now, best spot rate, but also best liquidity. So let's say, Jillian, you want to buy Bitcoin on Binance, but in real time, there's not enough liquidity to fill your order. What we do is we will go and search the best spot rate on another exchange. We're also connected to Kraken or LMAX and other exchanges, and we will find the liquidity you need. So there's better spot rate, more liquidity, but also we can create new routes through a multi-node, which is a bit too technical, so I won't dive into that. But that's what we believe is the most important as of today. It's to have fiat on and off ramps, but also the Skyscanner model.
So am I right in saying also that you're quite keen on regulation and
Yes.
the Wild West? You want to say bye bye Wild West? So tell me a little bit about the thinking about regulation, licensing, and laws. How do you see it? How are you helping it, or how are you involved in regulation?
That's a really good question. So we already have like a VQF, which is basically we're being regulated by an SRO. So they can have access to the money laundering and all these things. We've been audited as well before by EY. But also we're going to be licensed. We're planning on getting a virtual currency exchange license, but also a custodian license, which hopefully should come very soon. And just because, I know a lot of people are saying code is law and that this whole ecosystem shouldn't be regulated because it's regulated by technology and algorithms. But at the end of the day, like, because we had an ICO, we cannot take the risk of not being regulated. Because if we get shut down, for instance, for whatever reason, all the people who contributed to our ICO will actually also feel the pain and suffer from it. So we have to comply as of today. That's the way we're going.
And you live in Switzerland, so the Swiss like the rules. Obviously, it's not the Wild West. So in terms of, you're one of the founding members with your brother of Swissborg, but you're also the head of communications. So you have this Kryptonite TV. You want to tell us a bit about that and some of the stars you've had on that?
Oh yes, have you watched it before, Jillian?
I've watched so much. Yeah, no, I have. I was watching it this morning when I was after my Christmas party. So I sat on the bed and I said, I'm going to watch this. So
that is so sweet of you. We need to get you on the show as well, Jillian, one of these days. Get you on the show. But yeah, for those watching out there, it's called Crypto Nights, but Nights, it's spelled the American way, the wrong way, NITES.
Yeah.
And basically, it's a channel which is here to edutain the community.
I was going to say you had a spelling error on your.
Everyone's like, "What's wrong with your edutainment?" And I'm like, "No, guys, you don't get it. You educate people through entertainment." So that's kind of no, it's not on purpose. Don't worry, Jillian.
It was so professional. I actually took a picture of it. I went, I better go and show this to Alex afterwards. So it's education and entertainment. The two.
Yeah. The idea is, so it's shot in 4K, so Netflix criteria, so the quality is quite high, but at the same time, no one can wear a suit, and I ask very personal, intimate questions to people like Andreas Antonopoulos or Roger Ver, Tom Lee, and believe it or not, people don't think these guys would respond to these type of questions, but they're very open. And yeah, anything we can do to help the community grow is, definitely.
Do you know what? I think that's so important. And I'm going back to me again, so I apologize. But I often say the reason why I think I'm put on this earth to talk about cryptocurrencies and blockchain is that I'm not scary. I could be your mom. I'm 54 years of age. I'm a woman. I'm very middle class, and I'm very middle aged. And it's like, if I believe in it, that it maybe there's something worth looking at, because it's not you don't find women who are baking cakes tend to go off and doing cryptocurrency. It doesn't seem to stand together. So the same way, when you were talking about people and interesting people and making them real, people go, oh, I like that person. So it's a huge leap forward to bring people to meet the thinkers in this space. So I think that's an amazing job that you're doing with the Kryptonite TV, and It's very well produced. It's lovely. It's very, and I would love to come on it sometime.
Yeah, would love to have you. We're probably going to have for season 3, for those who are out there, season 2 is quite intense. We have some characters such as Tone Vase, Roger Ver. We also have Craig Wright, which I know is controversial, but you know, our channel is not to vet anyone. We really want to make this like the blockchain. And despite, you know, the fact that many people may hate a few of these guys, we're just giving out the content for the viewer to make their own decision. So if they watch, for example, some interview and they realize, oh, I don't like this guy, or this guy's a maximalist, or whatever issue they have, that's fine, you know, and they dislike the video, but at least we've helped them forge their opinion. Yeah. So we're not going to vet anyone, but we have a crazy lineup for the season finale right now. And season 3, like if we can have you, then we're also planning on having 4 other women. So we're really trying to have like power women back to back, so that we can, you know, you know, have more of a better ratio as well, balance, and show that there are women leaders like yourself who are helping us grow the community.
Well, it's interesting. I interviewed John McAfee, and we agreed.
I saw. Amazing.
I love it. Well, we spoke about what he wants on his tombstone. I said, you know what? And first of all, he said, if I look behind me, I don't want to see. They wanted to say, I'm not there yet. You know, he was very funny. Then he was quoting Shakespeare at me and Edgar Allan Poe and quoting them from The Raven. I was like, I did not expect this. That's interesting. I mean, I really like John McAfee. I mean, he's quite controversial in parts, but he's an interesting man. He's you know, he's a lot of interesting things to say. And we need sometimes larger than life characters to, you know, just because otherwise he's not, he's forwarding the cause, I think.
Yeah, of course. And he's so sharp. I mean, he's such an intelligent person. So even if you, like you said, you know, even if there's some things that he said or done that you're like, oh, that was a bit taboo. But at the end of the day, the guy is really sharp and he's helping us push the movement. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Yeah,
that's cool. So finally, I'm not going to keep you because there's mulled wine waiting for you there too. And I've got just ordinary wine, but never mind. But something people might know about you, and I was going through your LinkedIn profile today. You were a breakdance teacher, and maybe still are. Are you still a breakdance teacher?
Now, if I do it, I'll literally break my back. It'll be break bones dancing, because unfortunately, fortunately, actually, I'll say I'm turning 40 years young.
You are not
next year. So but
it
was absolutely. Oh, really? Oh, that's very kind of you.
Now, you didn't say I look very young, 54, so you're my bad books now.
No, I thought you knew it already. You've heard it so many times that you didn't need my validation. But yes, you look great, Jillian. You look way younger.
Well, that's so cool. So you were a breakdance teacher when you were younger.
Yeah, so I used to practice, and then I was going to like very sensitive areas in France, actually very, very sensitive areas. Where I would find subsidies from the local towns or town halls, and then I would go into those cities, and they're called les banlieues, which are kind of like the ghettos of France. And I would teach little kids, you know, how to break dance, and you know, especially if I saw that one of the kids was a bit introverted and there's something going on inside, I'll try to get them to express them, you know, with moves and music rather than having to do it orally. So that was something that I took very seriously. I even went to New York. I went to Brooklyn in the early 2000s when it was still a bit of it's not the Brooklyn of today where everything is posh. It was quite dangerous in some ways, but yeah, it was really something that fulfilled my life.
Yeah, well, Alex, breakdancer, I wouldn't have thought it. Listen, thank you so much for your time. Very entertaining, very interesting. Good luck with Wealthy Wealth. I'll be watching very closely. And I'm going to be watching more of the Kryptonite TV. I really like it. It's well done.
Thank you so much, for everything. And I look forward to catching you in London very soon, Jillian.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Have a great one.